Hi everyone, Pete here. Today is Monday, October 14th, and I wanted to review quite a few tickers with everyone going into this week. So what I'm going to be looking at real quick, just the two that they're almost at my price target, so I just wanted to quickly review them, and that's Robinhood and Affirm. I have comments for both. I sold my Affirm options for like 1,500% a few weeks ago, and so I've just been riding the commons now. Quickly review Snap because that's going to be my earnings lotto, and then I'm also going to review Disney, NVDA, Intel, AMD, Apple, and Google. So yeah, let's jump into the charts. Bear with me. Let's see. So again, gonna start with Robinhood. The reason why I jumped into this one, and I even jumped in late, I wanted confirmation. But this one was clear accumulation to me. And we are entering, or we have been in the final phase D of this accumulation, which is why I am going to be slowly scaling out. So just wanted to point this out where my targets are. So I'm going to be first scaling out around the $31 range, and then I'm going to leave some runners for $38.50 because we do have buy side liquidity there. So what I am targeting here, we have a weekly fair value gap, we have an order block, and we have buy side up at these levels. Now, I do think, and also another reason why I like Hood, I should mention, is that looks like Bitcoin, looks like crypto is looking pretty bullish right now so far. I did mention a while back I was looking for another shakeout. That didn't happen. So I'm going to probably flip bullish. The only thing is, unless you're playing Coin or Robinhood, the miners, I looked at the chart and I could see the bull case, but I don't know. I don't love the charts, so that's why I really like Robinhood. They seem to be turning themselves around, and again, like these are going to be my price targets, but I will look to see how we retrace if we retrace once we hit these levels, to see if there's another scalping opportunity. But I'm really happy with this position. It's up 35% since I got in. And yeah, so these will be my levels that I am targeting. And then same thing for Affirm. What I'll tell you about Affirm and why I got in, and we're actually in my target box. I am targeting to take out at least this buy side level. So I have most of my sell orders here. And then I have a few more for a little bit higher. I do think over time we can take out some of these other levels. But again, I'm going to wait to see if we retrace after hitting this order block and hitting my targets here. You could see the 1.618 is up here. I'm going to leave maybe a few runners just to see what happens going into the end of the year. Things get a little bit squeezy, but again, I'm going to secure profits pretty soon. The reason why I liked this chart, I wanted to show you real quick why I got in, is number one, you could see we had a low volume retracement. If you look at the buying volume here, low volume retracement here. And where did we retrace to? If we draw fibs up here, we didn't quite tap the 0.5. So this is in the premium discount range, which is also bullish. And that gave me conviction to get in. And I got in around here, I believe. My position is up. What did I say? It's up 60%. And I got in like 2.5 months ago. So not too bad. Yeah. So just wanted to quickly review this one because I've been talking about this one for a while and just wanted to let you know that I am nearing the end of this one. Also, I should have noted that nothing is financial advice. I'm just reading charts and showing you what I see. Also, I am happy to answer questions and go a little bit more in depth into any chart request. If you join the Rising Tide Investment Discord, the link is in the bio. And we're running a 40% off lifetime subscription for the VIP tier for the month of October. the code is RISE. So, all right. So that was AFRM, just showing you where my exits are. And also, let's see, the power of fair value gaps I wanted to mention too. So let's see. You can see here we had a weekly fair value gap. And we also have a daily gap, I believe, which is another reason why I want to get out soon. We're probably going to revisit that. So fair value gaps, if you don't know, are another area of imbalance, right? So for proper price discovery, if there are imbalances like daily gaps, fair value gaps, what else? Imbalances, for proper price discovery, the algorithms are probably going to navigate back towards those areas. They don't have to, it's not guaranteed. But I usually like to look for those areas to actually re-enter, or enter a position I haven't entered yet. So you can see there's actually a weekly fair value gap down here. Doesn't have to be explored again, but it's something just to watch out for. But what I liked here was that while we pushed up, we came back down to test this weekly fair value gap, and we stayed within the premium range. We didn't make it below to the 50% range, and we continued to push up. So that gave me conviction to stay in my trade, and you could have actually added during that. And now we're going to start taking out, I believe, at least one buy side level. So the market's always hunting for liquidity. Where's the path of least resistance? Here, it's up. Let's get to these buy side levels, and that's where I'm going to start exiting. All right, so next is just Snap. So Snap, I don't usually like playing earnings, and this one is a complete, this isn't high conviction for me, so this is just going to be lottos, but I don't like playing earnings because IB tends to spike. But for this one, I'm trying to get in a little bit earlier in my positions for January, just to give me time and to ensure that I don't have to worry about IB crush. What is IB crush? So leading into earnings, IB or implied volatility is going to increase, which increases the price of your options contracts. And then immediately after earnings, once volatility calms down, the price of those contracts significantly decreases. So even if you got the move right, you could still end up losing on the trade because you got in maybe the day of earnings or right before earnings. So for this one, I am just taking a lotto position in calls because while I do think Snap could see more downside, I like that there are these imbalances here that will probably get filled. And even, let me see, I haven't checked out the fibs look like on this one. All right, so we bounce off the 786. Yeah, so we have the weekly fair value gap here, which we're in right now. We have a daily gap from earnings, I believe, that's slowly getting filled. We have buy side here. We have another gap here, and we have buy side here, and then you also have buy side here. So I'm not banking on it going this high, although another reason why I'm playing Snap is it tends to have pretty aggressive moves for earnings. So that's kind of why I want to just give it a shot. You can see there's all these gaps that it leaves behind. So yeah, I'm banking on that. If you draw fibs from the top here to the bottom, I believe I have 20, or what do I have? I have $15 calls for January, I believe. My target is actually this golden pocket here. So, the 707, which happens to be right at the top of this gap and allows us to take out buy side. I'll probably get out on my position around the golden pocket right here. But it all depends on how we're looking leading into earnings, which are in 2 weeks, I believe. Yep. Great. I don't want to spend too much time on this one because this one's just a lotto for me, but now I want to go into Disney real quick. Disney, if you don't know, Disney is one that I'm still pretty bearish on macro-wise. I believe it's in macro distribution. If you think about it, no one really knows who's going to be replacing Bob Iger. Yeah, the whole woke thing really impacted them, I believe. So if you look here, I know it looks pretty messy. Let me actually things. Oops. Let's go back here. Let me hide some of this. All right. So again, just to kind of show you the power of fair value gaps, right? You could see that we had a monthly fair value gap here, and that is where we rejected, right? So it came back up to test, and then it rejected. You also have a monthly fair value gap here, which it looks like we're about to test. So something just to keep an eye on. If you drew fibs, let's see what else we can gather from here. Nothing too crazy. Almost made it down up to 0.5. It didn't quite make it, which in my mind, this is like a premium discount for more downside. I do think we're going to start, like we bounce off of this sell side level here. But now, if you think about it, on the monthly basis, that's relatively equal lows, which tends to act like a magnet. I think we're going to head back down here long term, but and you can see the volume has been picking up here. I believe we're heading into the final stages of distribution here, but on the shorter time frames, so I am bullish on this short term, and I'll show you why. So again, we have these fair value gaps. We have this daily fair value gap. We have the weekly fair value gap up here. And then we have a daily gap actually in these buy side levels. So I believe, so what I'm targeting, so what I liked about this too was that, sorry, thought I saw something else about why I was bullish, but all right. So I should note that overall with the market, it does feel like, especially after the past few days, it is getting pretty overextended. And if you look at like the little meter, we're at extreme greed. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see a pullback soon. Maybe next week. This week we'll probably consolidate at these levels and distribute. So if we see overall weakness, I just want you to keep that in mind as we're looking at these charts, because what you can see is that there are gaps. And so what I liked here, I think this is what I was going to show you. So what I liked here was that we actually bounced off of the 786, and then now we're bouncing off the 382. If we do, and then we have this imbalance here. So you could see this little daily imbalance. So we could reject this imbalance first. And if we actually looked at the fibs here, we could come back down. We could come back down to like this 0.5 and at least fill this one gap and make it here. So that is something to look out for. So like maybe we reject tomorrow and just like make our way down here, and then we can start heading up higher. So I'm not in calls yet. I do want to see how we react tomorrow, but I might start a position. And then ultimately, where's my price target, right? So I like to use fibs a lot for targets, whether that's fib extensions or fib retracements. I do think that it's interesting how this lines up where the 707 again. I like using the 707 as my targets. Completely fills this weekly fair value gap, and that gets us into this order block here. If we get really bullish action, it is, we do have the election coming up. Who knows what the end of the year can hold. We could take out at least one of these buy side levels. I don't think we'll make it back up here. But I do think, so if I were to enter calls, I would look to see if we get a retracement here, and then I would be targeting this 106 area, and maybe leave runners for 110. I wouldn't bank on completely filling the gap and making it to this buy side level. You never know. If you like risk, you could maybe see what happens. But yeah, overall for the next few weeks, depending on what the market holds, I am bullish on Disney. But long term, I am bearish. So then let's go into NVIDIA real quick, because I've been talking about this on X a lot, but what some people in my Discord were actually pretty surprised that I've been bullish on this for the past few weeks, and I'll explain why I was. So you'll notice, so this is all-time highs right here, right? And NVIDIA is another one that I believe is nearing the final phases of distribution. So I do think that it could get pretty bloody in the next few months. It's macro, so it's gonna take a while to play out. I personally, I don't have a position. I don't know if I would hold a position after this move higher, where we are gonna make new all-time highs. I feel pretty confident about that. But why was I bullish, right? So I started getting bullish around here. I think, yeah. Right here. And the reason being is, if you notice from these all-time highs, the market generated all this what's called buy-side liquidity, and that typically acts like fuel for when it wants to go higher. It'll keep pushing up because it's grabbing this liquidity, and that's giving it more juice to keep pushing higher. What I thought was pretty phenomenal actually is how it pushed through this area. But even before that, what I really liked, again, is we had this daily fair value gap. I was mindful of these imbalances below, so I did initially think it was going to go a little bit lower, which is why I never ended up getting in to a position. But what's really bullish is that it tested this daily fair value gap again. It didn't make it to the 50% range or the discount range. It stayed in the premium, which is bullish. Came back up, tested this area, which we knew was going to be tough to get through. Retested this daily fair value gap, and then boom, off to the races. And so we took out this level, which we can now remove. And then now after today, we've left an imbalance. So I wouldn't be surprised to see us come back down, maybe either test here or retest this golden pocket extension and then push higher. Ultimately, I think this last buy side level is going to act like fuel. We could remove this one. We have one left, which is the all-time highs. And ultimately, if we can get to this 1.618, that's my target. Doesn't have to get all the way up there, but it would be pretty cool if it did. From there, that's where I would be looking for a short. So again, the market's extended. NVIDIA really moves the market. So can we see a retracement? Yes, we could even see a retracement down to fill this here. Use this as demand and then push up higher. So maybe I do like that a little bit more. Maybe we push up one more time and then come down. Let's see. Great. Anything else I wanted to call out? The other thing to call out. Yeah, so you can see I mentioned quite a lot already that I like the 707. You could see here that it bounced off of the 707 almost to the penny, which is awesome. So that could have been a great area to buy the dip at. So that's the power of fibs right there. And then one that I do have a position in, and I might add to it, is Intel. I do think that this one's a piece of crap, and I think that it's also could be a macro distribution. What you could see is that it did bounce off of this demand zone here. But I called this out because I wanted, again, to just show the power of fair value gaps. All right, so we had this monthly fair value gap that was created here, came back down, tested almost the 50% range, and then has been pushing up ever since. So I usually like to use those as entries. And then also we could see here that we sold off at this supply zone from all-time highs over here. So I do think that this is in distribution, and we'll just form another. This was an LPSY. We'll probably form another LPSY, and I'll show you where my target is. All right, so here. So the reason why I'm bullish, we have a monthly fair value gap here that was made during the last earnings. We have some volume coming in, so it does look like a reversal is likely here, which is why I like the risk reward of grabbing calls. And then we also bounce off of, this is the macro 707 right here. So we're going to start pushing away from this golden pocket. Let's go to the weekly. This is my ultimate target here. I have 27 or 26, I think 26 calls for their November or December. So I'm going to be looking for this 50% range of this monthly fair value gap. We'll see if we can make it up to my ultimate target where I'll leave runners for. But if you look at the daily, so I like that I like the risk reward of filling this gap. We are making higher lows, we're making higher highs. And so I'd like to see us continue to do that as we push higher here. So I also like that the golden pocket ends up giving us this gap fill completely. Doesn't have to happen, but again, another one of my targets. We do have buy side liquidity up here. I don't know if we'll make it all the way back up there, and we do have a daily gap up here as well. I didn't even see that before. I don't know. I don't know if we'll make it all the way there. Again, we could start seeing some weakness, so maybe come up, retest that liquidity that we generated there, come down, and then start making our way back up. So let's see. And then we have this imbalance. So you could also see something like maybe test this imbalance and then push. I don't know, something like that. But I like the risk reward of calls. You got to watch out there. We do have earnings coming up in a few weeks as well. And then, okay, so I do like that too. So you could see here, we created this 4-hour fair value gap. Came up, came down to test it, and we had a nice reaction off of it. And volume while volume is decreasing, you don't like seeing that, but bullish volume is exceeding the bearish volume, which I do like. So that kind of, I think, aligns with my thinking that it's in distribution. So AMD too. So we have it bouncing off of demand, which is great. You have it also bouncing off the 707 pretty much. It just missed it. So bullish overall. Another one that I think's in distribution. If you could see that, just looking at the volume profile here, you can see volume is decreasing now as we're pushing up. And the bear case is, sorry, we did completely fill this weekly fair value gap. What bulls are going to want to see is, and then we could even see that this is the previous all-time highs acting as support. So what bulls would want to see is something like, so we didn't completely fill this daily gap here. That's that blue here. So maybe come back down, test previous highs, push up, maybe reject this supply zone initially, retest this fair value gap as an inverse fair value gap, which would be very bullish, and then push higher and take out these buy side levels. If we, let's see, if we drew fib extensions, let's go from this low to all-time high. So that's also interesting, is that brings us up to the golden pocket extension here, which I wouldn't be surprised if we test. So does also look like, I feel like building a buy model, so it could come down a little bit lower. But yeah, I'm not personally playing AMD. I'm playing INTC, Intel, but something to watch out for. AMD looks pretty bullish short term. Obviously, all the chips look pretty good right now. So a wild card I forgot to talk about, but position that I also have is ASTS. This thing has been on its tear. If you look at this monthly, like, this is absolutely insane. I'm surprised more people don't talk about this, but this is from May this year. Like, this thing is just absolutely insane. 1,700%, up 1,700% since May. Insane. And the funny thing is, this is the first chart ever that I started learning Wyckoff accumulation off of. And I think it was like back here. And I had shares, and then I was just impatient at the time. I think it was like 2022. And I just saw it keep going lower, lower, and lower, so I sold. So that one stings a little bit. But I do have calls now, and I'll show you why. So what I liked about this one is that we have the previous all-time highs here. being tested as demand. And so, and we also had this daily fair value gap that was completely filled. So I like that volume was decreasing as it was retracing. So I have January calls. I'm targeting this golden pocket extension. So yeah, this is just one that it blows my mind that more people don't talk about. It has seen insane moves, and usually after a 1700% move, I wouldn't consider getting in. But if you think about it, there's a reason why Warren Buffett's getting into Sirius. It's because of the satellites, and then you obviously know what SpaceX is doing. ASTS is another satellite company for mobile. So I'm willing to take the risk here, and again, it's mainly because I like the retracement here and I like the chart. So let's see what it can do. If it doesn't start moving within the next few weeks, I'll probably end up cutting. But right now I'm about break even on my position. I think I got in like here, so I ended up dipping again out. So I might add as well, but so far I like what I'm seeing. Unless you can see volume starting to ramp up again. So we'd like to start seeing this one squeeze soon. All right, so the other one is Apple. This one I've been talking about for a while too. This one is another one that I believe is in macro distribution. I would not own this long term right now, personally. But what I do like, maybe it's just the daily we need to look at. I've been talking about this for a while. Relative equal highs and relative equal lows acts like a magnet. So what you can see here is that we had this daily fair value gap here. We tested it now as an inverse fair value gap, and we're ready to push up. We do have these gaps and imbalances below that I do think will get explored, but not right now. I want to see us take out these relative equal highs and this buy side level here. And then also test this golden pocket extension, which has the final all-time high buy-side liquidity. And I think that's as high as we'll get, most likely, before selling off with Apple, because there's no reason to really be too bullish on Apple, in my opinion, right now. So bullish short-term, bearish long-term. Let's see what the next few weeks and months hold for Apple. Google's one that I mentioned was like pretty much lagging compared to the rest of tech. The last video I recorded, or even like a few weeks ago, I drew this blue path. It's actually was playing out pretty nicely, except here now. What I want to look out for is even we can maybe come back and retest this buy side level and then fall. I had us initially coming down here to this 158 area, and this is where I was going to look to get calls, and that's still the case. I want to see how it reacts there though first, because after I looked further, I saw all these gaps and imbalances lower, which happened to be at the golden pocket. So we could even make it all the way back to this 155-ish area before heading higher. But I do like that Google has, so this is a daily gap and a weekly fair value gap. If you see, so my ultimate target is actually going to take out this buy side level, and it also happens to be the golden pocket extension. So we test the supply before possibly selling off. So again, the game plan here is to just kind of wait and see. Let's see if it retraces. Again, if we see the market pull back a little bit over the next week or so, that could give us a great entry to go long. So something I'm going to be looking out for personally. And then, yeah, that's about it. So let's see. Only other thing, I think I drew. Just see how this. Yeah. So the other thing to note is that the golden pocket retracement is here. So if I do end up getting calls either at 158 or 155, this is what I would be targeting. It can go higher and fill this daily gap. Just make sure. but it doesn't need to. If anything, I would maybe leave runners again for that, but I would be happy with a golden pocket test. Great. Let me know if you have any questions, like and subscribe to the channel. Let me know if there's anything else you would like to see, any content you would like me to produce, or any tickers you would like me to analyze. But thanks for watching and thanks for listening. And again, if you would like to join the Discord, there's 2 tiers. There's the basic tier, which primarily focuses on and Watchlist, and then there's the VIP tier that opens you up to everything. The VIP is lifetime 40% off for the month of October with the code RISE, all caps. Yeah, so please give us a try. Great community, very respectful. That's the game. That's the goal. And that's why it's called Rising Tide. We're here to lift each other up through this trading journey. So thanks, guys.